We're continuing to give previews for some of the most anticipated races ahead of the 2024 Paris Olympics, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the deepest events this Olympic cycle, the men's 100 butterfly. As usual, let's start things off with a look at the fastest times this season. Leading the way is Dressel and Liendo with his massive 50.06 from the Canadian Olympic trials. Normally, a time that fast would have you head and shoulders ahead of the rest of the field, but Ponti is just a tenth behind with a 50.16. Things are still super close as we move to world record holder Caleb Dressel in the third rank with his 50.19 from the US Olympic trials. And just behind that is Matt Temple with a speedy 50.25 from the Japan Open in December of 2023. The fifth fastest this year is 2023 world champion Maxime Grousset and his 50.59 from the French Olympic trials. Christophe Milak leads the rest of the top 10 swimmers with a 50.75. Milak's training status has been a hot topic for the past couple of months, but he keeps putting up fast times despite rumors that he isn't fully prepared. Thomas Heilmann, Hubert Koch, Niels Castagna, and Katsuri Matsumoto round out the top 10 swimmers for this season that will be able to contest the event in Paris. Looking at all of these swimmers, two things stand out very clearly. The first is that this field is very close together. The top four swimmers in particular are just 0.19 seconds apart. For frame of reference, the top four swimmers in the 50 free are 0.28 seconds apart. The second thing that stands out is that every swimmer here is under 51 seconds. In fact, if we include swimmers that aren't able to compete in Paris as well, we have a total of 13 swimmers under 51 seconds, which is just insane. Let's focus back on the top end of things and take a closer look at the splits of our top 5 swimmers. Something that really surprised me when I started digging into the splits is the fact that Ponti has the fastest closing 50 by quite a large margin, over 3/10. But in order to gain that massive back half, he sacrifices opening speed, turning last of the 50 between our top 5. And interestingly enough, Grousset is the exact opposite. He has the fastest opening 50, just 1/100th over Dressel and Liendo. But unlike Liendo, Grousset paid for that early speed heavily, closing the slowest by far and is the only swimmer to split slower than 26. In fact, Grousset serves as an interesting comparison to Liendo and shows just how impressive that 50.06 is, because Liendo was also out very quick, but he managed to come home very fast as well. But as mentioned earlier, Grousset is the 2023 world champion and won that race with his current lifetime best, a blistering 50.14, beating out Liendo's former best time of 50.34. 50.14 is a very fast swim, and a recreation of that should land a medal, but he may need to drop some time to win the gold. And of course, we can't talk about the 100 fly without talking about Caleb Dressel. At the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, Dressel broke his own world record in the event with a 49.45. That time came after Dressel set a new US Open record at the Olympic trials with a 49.76. Dressel is a swimmer that is historically very good at dropping time from trials to that year's big meet, and if he has a similar drop from this year's trials to the Olympics, then suddenly a 49-second swim is on the table. Taking a look at the splits between Dressel's 2024 trial swim and his world record, we can see that he had much less opening speed at trials, but he was much closer to his world record split over the second 50. Dressel's University of Florida training partner Dressel and Liendo will be a major hurdle. 50.06 is some serious speed, and Dressel will need to be on his A game in order to get past him. While Dressel is pretty consistent at dropping from trials to the big meet, Liendo has a history of being right around the same time between both meets. Liendo normally has a variation of around 1/10 in either direction. If he manages to be just a little faster than his trial swim, well, it would only take 7/100ths for him to become the next member of the 49-second club. Ponti had a massive personal best in April with his 50.16 that suddenly pulled him from minor medal contender to gold medal threat. Ponti is the defending Olympic bronze medalist. He earned that medal en route to setting a lifetime best of 50.74. In the years after that swim, Ponti has been right around that time but unable to crack it. His season best times in the years following were 50.87 and 51.00, so this 50.16 is a big time personal best after being in the 50-point high range for the last 3 years. The question now is, will Ponti be able to replicate that kind of speed with the pressure of an Olympic final? If he can, then like I said, he's easily in the mix for gold. Matt Temple is another swimmer that has recently lowered his personal best in a big way, taking down his old personal best of 50.76 with a 50.25. Temple was also under his former personal best again in March, swimming running a 50.61. However, Temple was a bit slower at Australian trials, managing a 51.15 for the win in the event. If Temple's going to be in the mix for medals, he'll have to be closer to the 50.2 side of things. We've briefly touched on him, but defending Olympic silver medalist and the second fastest man in history, Milak, is lurking back in the 6th position. He, like Dressel, is coming off of some time out of the water and is currently a giant question mark. Despite reports coming from Hungarian national coaches that he, quote, hasn't done any meaningful work in months, end quote, he has still broken 51 seconds multiple times this season. And at this point, I'm personally deciding to just trust the results and assume he'll be back in the 50-point lows when Paris rolls around. This 100 fly field is deep. In fact, it has the potential to be the deepest Olympic final ever. While it probably won't match the top end speed of 49.4 and 49.6 for the gold and silver medals from 2021, if we look further out and examine the depth, we can see that potential. In Tokyo, it took 50.74 to medal and 51.30 to make the final. That appears to be the fastest it's ever been to medal or final in Olympic history. Rio and London are both close, with Beijing being the previous fastest at 51.12 to medal and 51.64 to final. In Tokyo, we saw the first Olympic final that required a sub 51 second swim to earn a medal. Now in Paris, this might be the first time it takes a sub 51 second swim to even make the final. This event is absolutely loaded with talent, and it's going to be an exciting race to watch through and through. Who do you think is going to take home the gold in Paris, and how fast will they go? Let me know down below. Also be sure to let me know what event you want to see previewed next before the Paris Olympics finally arrive.